25 incisive facts about Jaws. So you want to go over some of these facts?
Sure.
So it's stuff maybe that they saw this movie too. So I don't know if you know this. You know Jaws is my favorite movie of all time, but I don't know if you know this, but I hate the book. Absolutely hate the book.
You read the book?
I read the book.
And, well, I mean, yeah, I think it's like way different, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very poor.
Isn't Brody like, he's more of a badass or something? He's
more of a
he's
badass.
More like he's more like Dirty Harry or something.
Yeah, he is. And what really gets you is Hooper, right? The young, nerd, the rich nerd that he's rich and he does this for fun, has like this shark fetish, and he has an affair with Ellen Brody. And we're after dark, so we can say ejaculates inside of her. His eyes roll in the back of his head, and like he is a shark at that moment.
What?
As he's having an affair with Chief Brody's wife.
Who has an affair? Hooper does?
Yeah, Hooper has an affair with Ellen Brody in the book.
I hate that. Richard Dreyfuss?
Yes, exactly. The character that was so famous, and this, I don't know if this is a fact in this.
Hooper!
Hooper!
Get off my wife, Hooper!
Who was so popular in the screenings, the test screenings, that they saved him. He dies in the book, spoiler. He was supposed to die in the movie in that cage scene, and they saved him because he was so popular, which I thought Quint, R.I.P., that one really hurt. But I understand that there was a dark history in there. Anyway, let me jump back to that because that was the first fact. Peter Benchley's book, Jaws, could have been called something else. Jaws was adapted from author Peter Benchley's best-selling novel, the same name, based on a series of shark attacks that occurred off the coast of Jersey in 2016, and after the incident where a New York fisherman named Frank Mundus caught a 4,500-pound shark off the coast of Montauk. Other titles Benchley had before settling on Jaws were The Stillness in the Water, The Silence of the Deep, Leviathan Rising, and The Jaws of Death.
The Jaws of Death.
The Jaws of Death sounds like a mock movie in Kentucky Fried Movie.
Yeah. Well, isn't there a movie called The Jaws of Death? It's called like Mako, The Jaws of Death.
Oh, yes, Mako, which is the jagged tooth shark that is really scary. But that's, it just reminds me of Kentucky Fried Movie. That's Armageddon. That was a Samuel L. Bronkowitz production.
Well, I've told you that story about how the Jaws 3 script out there originally was pitched as a comedy.
Oh, yeah, you said Jaws 3, People None?
Yeah, and
People
Joe
Zero?
Dante was going to do it. Post-Gremlins or pre-Gremlins.
Oh, that would have been good.
Yeah, that was going to be his thing, but last minute they swerved. I said, no, let's make a 3D movie in a weird format that we will never be able to replicate on a disc or a tape again.
Oh. And I'd love to see, like, if the AGFA could repair, like, find a copy and repair it. But you told me that there's not a lot of known copies out there.
There's something wrong with that movie. Now, we got to do some research on that. But for some reason, that movie's completely screwed.
Yeah.
Like, it just looks like crap everywhere. Like, you see other old 3D movies, for some reason, they can replicate them.
Yeah.
They did something. Maybe they used a new experimental camera. I don't know, but
yeah, even when you see it on TV, it still feels very off compared to the other movies.
It looks bad.
Like the other movies are able to pivot and you're able to play it on regular TV, but the bad 3D still comes through. So, number 2 fact: Peter Benchley makes a cameo in Jaws. So this was interesting because he reminded me of the guy from Piranha. That if you check out our socials, I believe it's on our Instagram and our TikTok. Remember you made the meme of just like murder, death, kill, film at 11 from Piranha?
That's from Piranha?
That was from Piranha. But Peter Benchley actually plays the character that was based on that one for Piranha, that was talking at the beach about a killer shark. So I thought that was cool. I don't know if, we can see if you can find the picture. But number 3, and this one I really liked. Steven Spielberg got the directing job on Jaws because of the movie Duel. Remember that movie Duel?
That was like they're fighting trucks.
Yes. I love Duel. Duel was very cool. That was at a time where they were trying to make horror movies out of vehicles with nobody in it. Do you remember the movie The Car? Nowhere to hide, nowhere to stop. The Car.
I don't remember The Car.
You don't remember The Car?
No.
1977? Oh, you got to watch The Car. That might be a great Terror Tuesday. Do they do can you put in recommendations? Like, can you put in like a request?
I don't know if you can.
I'd like to see.
I'm sure you could do something.
Oh, I'd like to see the car. The car.
See, is this Peter Benchley here?
Yep, that's him. That's him right there on the left there. So looking very 70s. Very cool. Yeah, so that's the original author. But doesn't he look like that guy from Piranha Murder?
Yeah, he does. He does. They must have totally ripped that off.
Yeah, they did. Because the Piranha was supposed to be like a spoof, but it didn't come off as a comedy, even though it was clearly a rip.
Was it a comedy?
I thought it was supposed to be a comedy.
I don't recall it being a comedy.
No, there was. They didn't play it for laughs, but if that didn't remind you of Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, I don't know what does.
I mean, it was good enough to get a sequel.
It did. James Cameron too, and then a requel, right? Because they had one pretty recent.
Which those were good. The Piranha reboots were good.
Yeah, they were really good. I enjoyed them. But anyway, back on the duel, Spielberg was chose to direct Jaws, by Zutnik and David Brown, who worked on with the 20-year-old director on his 1974 film, The Sugarland Express, because the duel, which featured maniacal trucker terrorizing the mild-mannered driver. Oh, that sounds like The Hitcher. It reminds me of The Hitcher, but that would be really good. All right. Fourth fact, there aren't a lot of Jaws in Jaws. The shark doesn't fully appear. I think everyone knows that the Jaws is not working. I mean, the shark is not working is a very good...
It's a thing of legend.
Yeah, it is a thing of legend, and they say it saved the movie in a way, which watching it does, right? All you need is... Again, that was another audience scene pop when all of a sudden, when Charlie used his wife's holiday roast and threw it in there and he ripped the dock out, and then you just saw the dock. And they cleaned up the sound so well that when that dock turns around, you hear, It's like, take my word for it, Charlie. Don't look back. Swim, Charlie. Swim. And you heard the dock. It was beautiful. So there's a lot of scenes, the barrels, they didn't really need the shark. No.
Well, I mean, it created, right? It's like what you imagine is scarier than what you see. So it just, by default, they ended up creating that accidentally.
Yeah.
They
tapped into a primal fear.
And it helps when you have an extremely, gifted and talented director like Steven Spielberg.
Right.
Who just so happened to be one of the greatest directors of all time. It's like the movie's falling apart. It could have been like, whatever. If it would have been, I don't want to bury any directors, but like, somebody else, they would not have been able to handle the complete thing falling apart.
No, they would have.
Because I think being a director on a film is the way I always look at it. You are either the most important person on set or the least important on set. On set. There's like no in between.
Yes.
It's like you have to be that. It's like either you're gonna carry the movie to the end or the crew's gonna carry it. So how's it gonna go down?
Yeah.
In a perfect scenario, everybody's working together and it's fluid. But like when things go wrong, when things are crashing, and you have to make decisions on the fly and you have to rewrite on the fly, it's like, who's going to do it? Are you going to be the guy? Can you be the guy to handle that pressure? Or are you going to have the crew carry it to the end?
Yeah, you got to be the hero and you got to have enough passion to carry it through. Which is the next fact. The film took a very long time to make, marred with technical problems, including the shark not working and shooting on the Atlantic Ocean with the tides that didn't agree with it. It was originally scheduled for a 65-day shoot, and it turned into 159, not including post-production.
That's wild. Is that half a year?
Yeah, 150.
Shoot a movie for half a year. Does that happen these days? I can't imagine.
Not on purpose.
Any stars would sign up for a 6-month movie. I suppose Avengers is a 6-month movie, but it's one of those. I think Avengers is like, oh, we'll fly you in a couple days a month to shoot in front of a green screen.
Yeah.
No, you go be on a boat for 6 months.
Yeah, on the legit Atlantic Ocean.
On the legit Atlantic Ocean, and he didn't want to shoot in a tank.
No.
They said we'll make this movie in a tank, and he's like, nope, it's got to be on the ocean. And then he was like, FML.
Yeah. But it did work because some of those shots are beautiful. Like the shooting star, that was the serendipitous shot, that wasn't planned. And when they show Brody at night and he's like, Martin, and you see the shooting star go behind, that was like the good luck saying that, yes, this film is going to be okay. And that shooting star was so bright in IMAX. So I thought that was really cool. We know this fact. Jaws Amity was actually shot in Martha's Vineyard. We talked about here on the show. Quint's shack was the only one set built for the movie, while a defaced Amity Island billboard had to be constructed and taken down in one day. So very cool. You should. We're going to try to go there for that 50th. If we can get there to Martha's Vineyard, that would be awesome. Another fact: the shark actually weighed more than a ton.
Yeah.
Can you imagine having a fake shark weighing a ton in the actual Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah, and when
How
you look at the
unreal is that?
construction of the actual device, because you see it, you just see that shark body,
Yeah.
and you think that's all of it. No, there's an entire scaffolding and levers and pulleys and you know,
Underneath it, yeah.
an entire tower under it that it sits on to operate that shark.
Yeah, that's unreal. And you can now see that totally redone shark by the awesome the makeup magician, Greg Nicotero. K&B, is that his company's name?
He was K&B. I don't know if he's still.
If he's doing his own thing now, because he got
He's
big.
bigger than K&B at this point.
I
so.
figure like he is, but they redid the shark. So Bruce the shark is actually hanging up on the Museum of the Academy Awards in LA now. So that's where, so that's very Bruce the shark. Yes, they still call me Bruce. All right, and then Steven Spielberg took inspiration from Jaws from his legal counsel. The director nicknamed the shark Bruce after his lawyer, who represented other celebrities like George Clooney, Robert Zemeckis, and Clint Eastwood. Nice. Some good old-fashioned elbow grease helped create Jaws' opening scene. So I think this is a fun fact that actress Susan Backline's legs were actually pulled down by crew members and Spielberg, and Spielberg told them not to let her know when she was going to be yanked back and forth. So her genuine reaction is terrified.
Cheeky directors, man. But that's how you got to do it sometimes.
Yeah. No, dude, but I don't like swimming in the ocean at night is scary. Especially because now this isn't a pool. You don't see what's under there. And she got deep in the water. So I don't know if there were shark spotters for real, right? Because there's actual sharks in the water there. So just the thought of someone like
Shoot sharks.
Shoot sharks. Yeah, there is for shoot sharks. My dad, we talked about this many times in the show. When he used to make us go clamming, we'd have to jump in the water and we had to dig with our feet, and he wanted us to grab the clams, and that was a terrifying experience. And it was daytime because you're like, something touched your foot, and then you'd automatically bring your feet down. He's like, put your feet down. We need more clams. You need to fill up this entire bucket. So I couldn't imagine. So I can see her totally being terrified. 10, Roy Scheider landed the lead role in Jaws with a little bit of eavesdropping. He got the part of Martin Brody after overhearing Spielberg talking to a friend at a Hollywood party about the scene where the shark leaps out of the water and onto Quint's boat. Scheider was instantly enthralled and asked Spielberg if he could be in the film. Spielberg loves Roy Scheider from his role in The French Connection, and then he got the part. So that was cool. Here's the opposite of it. Richard Dreyfuss wasn't the first choice to play Hoopa. He initially approached John Voight, Timothy Bottoms, and Jeff Bridges to play oceanographic Matt Hooper. So when none of them could commit to the role, Spielberg's friend George Lucas suggested Richard Dreyfuss, whom Lucas had just directed in American Graffiti.
Isn't it always weird when you hear those casting things that didn't work out?
Yeah.
And it's like big names like that. You can visualize them being in it. I don't see John Voight. I could see Jeff Bridges. I think, no, you know what? He's too handsome. If he was in it, they would have had to do the affair.
Yeah.
Angle.
They would have had to do the affair.
I think if Richard Dreyfuss is in it, they're just like, no, let's cut that.
Yeah, it's like that doesn't work. Yeah, because he was lovable in that.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't bring this up. Maybe it is a fact later, but my fact, did you know that when they originally wrote the role of Quint, it was supposed to go to Lee Marvin?
That would have been
and
something.
I can see Lee Marvin doing that, but man.
In another dimension, there's a version of Jaws where it's Lee Marvin,
Jeff Bridges. oh, yeah, there it is. Never mind. That's the next fact. Actors Lee Marvin and Sterling Hayden were the first and second choices, and they turned it down. And then they got Robert Shaw, whom they previously worked with on 1973's The Sting. Martha Vineyard's Fisherman was the real Quint. It based him on native fisherman Craig Kingsbury, a non-actor who appears in the film. Oh, it's Ben Gardner. Is this Ben Gardner's boat? Did Ben Gardner catch this? And then we saw Ben Gardner's head with the jump scare, which worked. I took my son to see Jaws with me, and when his head popped out of the boat, he popped.
Wait, how many times has your son seen Jaws?
He's always seen it passively with me, but I don't think this was the first well, he saw it on the water too. So he did go see it on the float. But this one, that was very distracting because you had people around you and they were trying to scare you. This one was you were focused and he jumped. I thought that was cool. Next one, Gregory Peck. Gregory Peck forced the scene to be cut from Jaws. This I did not know. Quint was originally introduced while causing a disturbance in a movie theater while watching John Huston's adaptation of Moby Dick. The scene was shot, but actor Gregory Peck, who played Captain Ahab in the movie, owned the rights to the film version of Moby Dick and wouldn't let the filmmakers on Jaws use the footage.
Well, that's a fortunate turn of events because I think having Moby Dick in that movie is a little bit on the nose.
Yeah.
And that would have got cut anyway.
Yeah, I think it would. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could have been very distracting. We'll cruise through some of these. The book version of Jaws was very different from the movie, like we talk about that affair. So yeah, I can't recommend the book. Steven Spielberg added an off-screen improv moment to Jaws, which I think everybody knows. It's You're Gonna Need a Bigger Boat. I think has been voted like the #1 improv of all time. But I did notice in this one that he really kept going back to the well on that, and where it's like, oh, we're going back for a bigger boat now, because I think he probably got such a pop on the set for that improv.
You think he got a pop on the set? Who was even there? Did he hear it?
Yeah, that's true. Maybe just a couple of crew members.
Yeah, they're just like, oh, it's great.
Yeah.
Like, I think things, the way I've always seen it is things on set that don't work, and then they work in the edit. Sometimes things that get a pop on set, and when you see them on screen, they don't work.
Oh, that's
but
interesting.
then things that like just don't seem like they work, you see them in the edit, it's like, oh wow,
and they
that's
do work.
Surprisingly well.
That's interesting. They say, because I've heard, talking about Caddyshack, I've seen a lot of behind the scenes, and Rodney Dangerfield had to get hyped up by Harold Ramis because he's like, man, I'm dying out there. The cast and the crew, they're not laughing at my jokes anymore. He's like, Rodney, they've heard it like 10 times now. They're not going to laugh every single time. He's like, I'm bombing out here. If you need to cut me out of the movie, I understand.
That's a funny short right there.
Yeah. So
you get a free bowl of soup with this hat.
Oh, but it looks good on you.
Take 10. You get a free bowl of soup with this hat.
Awesome. So a few more here. Robert Shaw put his own spin.
What's up, JJ? JJ's here.
Oh, JJ,
Friday
what's
night.
up, man? Yeah, Friday
Welcome
night
to the house
delight.
show dark.
All the fishes popped for the line. Very true, very true. So we talked about this, the USS Indianapolis speech by Robert Shaw, which this theater got eerily quiet for, and it really sunk in. He did that like he bombed on 2 takes, and then he did a couple of shots of brandy, and he was kind of a little bit wasted, and then he just knocked it out of the park.
No, wait a minute. I heard an alternate story.
Go ahead.
Wasn't it that he tried to do the scene but was too hammered, and they had to call a day, right? They had to wrap, and then he felt bad, so the next day he came back and all rehearsed and just knocked it out of the park.
Oh, really? Maybe that's what
That's
it
the
is.
story I heard.
He did. They just said that it wasn't in the novel, the backstory of Quint being the sailor, and first appeared in an uncredited rewrite of the script by Harold Sackler. Later, writer, director, and Spielberg friend John Milnes expanded the characters into a multi-page monologue, which was whittled down and spruced up by actor Robert Shaw, himself a playwright, on the day of the shooting. So it doesn't. I heard a version of it where there was definitely brandy involved, but I don't know if that caused him to strike out or home run.
You know what? I love when Quint is introduced. So much better than him. What was he watching? Moby Dick? No,
Yes.
just the nails on the chalkboard at that city council meeting.
Yeah. Oh man. And yeah, that lady's face when she did the. It was such a great expression.
Yeah.
So, another fact: some of what you see in Jaws is real shark footage, and that was the actual tank shot when Hooper was in the tank. That tank goes in the water. You go in the tank. Sharks in the water, our shark. Farewell and adieu, ye old Spanish ladies. So yeah, he hired a couple to actually shoot that, and I believe it was shot in South. Actor named Carl Rizzo appeared as Hooper in a mini shark cage in the hopes they can create the illusion of the shark. After trying to get the right shot, the sharks would only swim around the cage. During a take when Rizzo wasn't in the cage, the shark became entangled in the cage, causing the fish to thrall around, and that's the footage you've seen. And he did look stuck in there. This one I always thought was very intriguing, despite all the bloody shark attacks, including Alex Kittner getting eaten on scene. The shark, it was only rated PG.
Jaws is rated PG, yeah.
Yeah, which I remember I was like, yeah, I was clearly underage the first time I saw Jaws. So Jaws was initially rated R, but after some of the more gruesome frames of the shot showed the severed leg of the man attacked, was trimmed down. The final was given a PG rating. PG-13 wasn't created until Spielberg's own film, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, caused the MPAA to change the system in 1984. The poster for the film still reads, "May be too intense for young children," but that didn't stop my parents. All right, a couple more. Jaws poster image came about by chance. That iconic poster image was, there it is right there, was designed by artist Robert Castell for the paperback edition of Benchley's book. He modeled the image after a massive shark emerging from the bottom of the frame after a great white shark diorama of the American Museum of Natural History, which, recently on Shark Week, they actually got a shark. Have you seen Air Jaws when they come with the breach? They actually got a shark to pose for that without trying, which I thought was very cool.
This shark?
Yeah, that's the shark. That's your shark, our shark. It was the biggest hit Hollywood had ever seen. It was the first movie released in more than 400 theaters in the U.S., and the first movie to gross over $100 million at the box office, and the highest grossing movie of all times until Star Wars released 2 years later. Spielberg included a nod to his previous movie in Jaws. The faint roaring sound that is heard after the shark is blown up was also used by Spielberg in Duel, when the film's villainous truck falls off a cliff. Spoiler alert. And then what we talked about was the Jaws ending was in a nod to Moby Dick. The original ending in the script had the shark dying in a harpoon injury inflicted by Quint and Brody in a homage to the crew of the Pequod, but Spielberg decided the movie needed a more crowd-pleasing finale and came up with the exploding tank. Man,
Smile, you son of a...
Man, Spielberg nailed it. He really did. And this is a very strange fact. Last fact, Jaws' main theme music is very easy to play.
I guess that would be a fact.
The sole music notes played by composer John Williams' themes are E and F. Jaws marked the second time Williams worked with Spielberg after his film The Sugarland Express, and Williams has composed the music for every Spielberg movie since, with the exception of The Color of Purple and Bridge of Spies, which I thought. So, interesting fact.
Facts.
Yes, facts. Mentalfloss.com. 25 incisive facts about Jaws. What's your favorite John Williams score?
Gonna have to go with Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones.
The Indiana Jones overture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Surprising, a lot of people would think, Jaws is up there. But if you ask me what randomly pops into my head more, it's Superman. Boop, 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 boop. It's just that first part. Mm-hmm. Have you ever lifted something? Like if you ever did a deadlift at the gym or you lift something heavy at work, that's the song that pops in my head.
No, I get the Indiana Jones theme. After you've accomplished something really intricate.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.